yeah, we are in the place to be.
I'm one of those guys who believes if you don't take your dog out for walks and pick up after your dog, you shouldn't have a dog. It's the equivalent of changing a baby's diaper. If you can't do that, don't get one. I'm also one of those guys who believes you should shovel your walkway. And if I happen to be taking my dog out and your walkway isn't shoveled and my dog happens to shit on your yard, I'm not picking it up. And I'm not talking when snow is on the ground. I do this year round. I remember who you are, so I can leave my thoughts of you scattered around your yard. I have standards though. I pay attention to said neighbors whenever I see them. Older disabled folks. I still pick up after my dogs. That motherfucker that goes to town with his Christmas lights and shovels only his driveway. I'll go as far as making drop-offs.
Let's check out those top comments.
Honestly, from a global view, keeping plastic bags on hand to pick up compost from your dog's rump is just disgustingly wasteful. I do it due to social obligations, but when I'm in a park or something, I snag a few large leaves and throw the poop into the bushes.
Something to think about.
So, you don't think people who don't pick up after their dogs should have them, but you don't pick up after your own dog to be petty to a neighbor? It's a confession, I suppose. Ha ha.
The author of the post replied.
Someone gets it. LOL, I guess. I'm just bitter enough about having to climb through the snow that I'll break my uptight personal rule about dog ownership. Confession-ish. LOL.
Double standard? Let us know in the comments below.
I would love to be a kid and only relive my best moments in life. A lot of people in my family are either dead now or have become bad former versions of themselves. It's really depressing once you hear their full stories. I want to go back to those moments where I was loved like never before and ran around doing make-believe BS, scraping my knees, getting my shirts dirty. I would build things that others couldn't in our class with my Legos. I was accepted by at least one person around me. The bullying was bad, but then it wasn't done by a family. Everyone tried to love everyone at least. Six Flags with my dad. Might have beat me a lot, but Six Flags was always worth it. I was innocent back then. I helped friends and family. I loved plants, dreamed about my crushes liking me back. I wasn't so jaded, and people weren't so shallow. I dreamt about getting married as a guy, with the world's greatest family, and my parents being mature grandparents, but still fun. Nothing like they are now. They haven't matured. They've gotten worse. I dreamt about being wealthy, or at the very least well off. Hot summer days. Sweaty days. In my room, listening to rock music for the first time in my radio. The list goes on and on. I miss trying my best to be a good person.
Wanna be a kid again? Let us know in the comments.
Does anyone else think the whole tradition of visiting at the hospital after a baby is born to be incredibly stupid? I always thought visiting people in the hospital after they have given birth to be such a bad idea. The mother was just pregnant for 9 months and likely very sore and very tired and now has a baby to take care of and needs to rest to recover. The father is usually tired, stressed and overwhelmed too. The baby is very vulnerable to sickness and illness and should be around as few people as possible. Yet, it seems like in some cases the whole family comes to see the baby. I think it's a social convention that is completely outdated and rude. In this day and age where we have live video chat and social media, it doesn't make any sense that people can't wait until the baby is settled at home. Unless the parents ask for help, then in my opinion you shouldn't go. Honestly, hospitals should change their policies to only allow one visitor at a time, not counting the father. Thoughts?
Having had a baby, it's irritating. You're so tired and exposed. Then all these people come take pictures of all of you that they will keep forever. Even though you look like you haven't slept for 3 days. I learned my lesson on the first and only notified a few select individuals, my second time around.
As a recent first-time mom, I'm so glad of the pandemic. That sounds weird, but people just left my partner, the baby and I alone, and it was way better than being crowded right after a huge surgery with a person attached to me. I was grossly sleep deprived and leaking various liquids everywhere, so I don't know why anyone would want to see moms until like 3 weeks postpartum anyways.
Seconding all of this. While some parts of being pregnant and a first-time mom during the pandemic sucked, I feel like I overall had a better experience than I would have had in non-pandemic times because my husband and I weren't crowded out by a constant stream of visitors both at the hospital and at home.
Yes. My first child was born by C-section after a very long day of labor at around 8 p.m., so we had a very long and tiring first night. I woke up the next morning, after getting the only, 45 minutes of sleep I got all night, to the pastor of my in-law's church and his wife coming into my hospital room to visit. I still had not been out of the bed since the surgery, had a catheter, hadn't seen a mirror, brushed my teeth, etc. I'm sorry, but I don't know them like that. We only occasionally go to my in-law's church. But they needed to come early, it was around 7 a.m., because they had some errands to run, so it was more convenient for them. I'm sorry, nobody asked them to come. I was incredibly upset, but when you're in that moment, everyone gaslights you and makes you feel guilty for being upset.
Well, they took time out of their day to come by.
Etc. My mother-in-law was especially intolerant of my requesting everyone go home, let us rest, etc. And, another note, the best thing you can do for parents of a newborn is cook or purchase them a meal, and leave it on their front porch. No one wants to entertain people in their house after they just gave birth. Trust me, I don't know why extended family feels the need to come to see the new baby at the house during the first week or so. Especially when the baby is breastfed and cluster feeds in the evening, right when they decide to show up, and everyone acts like they are offended when you need to breastfeed. Excuse me, you invited yourself over. My second child was born right at the beginning of quarantine, and honestly, it was so nice not having everyone parade around wanting to hold her and wanting to come by. Things went much smoother and I was so much more relaxed. I was able to hang out with my boobs out and we developed a great breastfeeding routine. I highly recommend having a quarantine attitude after giving birth, even if quarantine is a thing of the past when you have children.
You could use that reasoning to ask why people visit their friends and relatives in the hospital when they get injured or sick. People visit after birth for the same reason, to check on their friend and family. Many people are actually excited about a baby being born. I think for most people, being in a hospital for days or weeks and having no one come visit is pretty sad and demoralizing.
My roommate is spying on me and doesn't know I know. So, my friend, the roommate. Let's call her M. I met M about 4 years ago when I was dating my ex-girlfriend. About 6 months ago, the girlfriend dumped me, and I needed a place to stay, so M told me I could stay at her place for a while. She has a house of her own. I accepted her offer and moved in that weekend. I was very thankful to her for the offer, and she let me stay rent-free until I was emotionally stable. So I have been living there for about 6 months, and a few weeks ago I started feeling better about the breakup, which maybe made me more aware of my surroundings. I noticed something odd in my room. The lamp on the dresser in the corner of the room had some black jewels decorating the base of the lamp. I looked more closely and noticed that one of the jewels was actually a tiny camera facing my bed. I pretend not to notice the difference and just kept looking around the lamp in case she watches this. I don't want her to know that I found it. She definitely saw me looking though, because later that day she asked me lots of questions, including if the lamp was good enough or if it needed to be brighter. I told her there were no problems. Since the day I found the camera, assuming it's video, because it's 2021, I have been more daring with what I do in my room. I know she has already seen me change my clothes, so getting naked was no biggie. I started masturbating for her last week, usually after my showers. I never look at the camera anymore, but I know she's watching. Weekend mornings I've been taking my clothes off when I wake up, just to give her a nice look. I am going to plant a camera of my own somewhere, to spy on her too. She's not even that attractive, but if she can spy, I can too. Then I'll masturbate on camera for her, while watching her on my phone. I hope it goes as planned.
What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.
I'm about to be a dad, and I'm miserable. My wife and I have been trying for kids since last summer, and I was so excited to receive her call from work a few weeks ago, saying her pregnancy tests were all positive. We are going for her first doctor's appointment this Friday, and I'm very excited. With all my struggles, I never thought I'd actually be a dad, and I want to be a great one. Yet, I haven't been so depressed in years. The thing is, I'm terrified of being a father, of failing to provide, of repeating my parents' mistakes, of reaping the consequences of my own screw-ups as an adult. Especially with the pandemic, I'm afraid of financial and social challenges of parenting. I've also been on quite the roller coaster of challenges at work. My position keeps constantly changing, and I genuinely feel trapped at my job, yet I feel like I can't get out. I don't want to go into detail about that here, but it's a part of the struggle. I'm not suicidal, first of all, but I constantly think of dying, and I'm immensely depressed. I'm no stranger to mental illness or depression, and I am already in therapy, but it's been a long time since I've been down this badly. Seriously, I feel worse every morning. I just needed to get that off my chest, I think. I don't want to be one of those I'll go to Reddit to spill all my crap all the time guys, but I appreciate your time.
Let's check out our top comments.
Dude. It's totally normal to have some apprehension about parenthood. You try and nothing happens, and then all of a sudden it's going to be the reality. That hits pretty hard and it's scary. Some self-doubts are very normal. As a parent myself to 2 kids, I was scared too. But it was also pretty entertaining to recognize that while I thought my parents had a plan and knew what they were doing while I was growing up, they were totally winging it. Parenting just sort of happens and you roll with it as it comes. My parents always seemed in charge growing up. And my kids see me as in charge. And I am, but I'm also totally winging it. You will too. Don't get me wrong. It's fine to have ideas and plans for what values you want to instill in your kids. Work towards those. But I can tell you that lots of your fears are not even going to be a thing once you've got a kid. That said, it sounds like you're also depressed. It's not normal and healthy to think about being dead. I would really encourage you to talk to someone about those feelings. I know therapy isn't for everyone, but sometimes even something as simple as staying busy or learning meditation or mindfulness or a hobby can help you shift those thoughts. That sounds corny AF, I know. But it's true. If you find that it isn't enough, then you should reach out to someone. You, your wife, and your baby deserve for you to be happy. It may just be the anxiety of impending parenthood making you feel this way. But it may be deeper. If you're aware of your parents' mistakes, you'll be less likely to repeat them. Just remember how they made you feel when you were a kid. You're going to love yours so much you won't want to do that to them. And if you find that you are, you can get help to change these things about yourself. There's no shame in therapy and in talking it out. Congratulations on the baby-to-be. The fact that you're worried you won't be good enough shows, on some level, that you're going to be a good parent. We all doubt ourselves. Sometimes daily. But when we have good kids to show for it, we can take pride in that.
Wonderful advice and great support.
All of a sudden it's going to be the reality. Honestly, took me about 3 weeks after the baby was born before it became real for me. Before that it was just a stream of baby stuff. Food, nappies, stroller, room, crib, etc., etc.
2 thumbs up.
That's fair. I've got 2 kids. The first one was kind of a whirlwind at first. He's 18 now, so it's been a while since I've thought about it. I do remember holding him for the first time and thinking, shit, I'm responsible for this little thing. I don't know what I'm doing. And then it was a bit of a blur, but before much time passed it was routine, and as you see, it's not really something I even recall unless it's pointed out. By the time the second one came along, there was none of that apprehension. Just pure love when I held her.
Thanks for sharing.
I just found out that my wife is pregnant and I am terrified. I've had a lot of mental health struggles in the past and continue to do a lot of hard work. Also, it's the worst time to be having a kid for us, but that's life. I would be more worried if you weren't scared. You want to be the best father possible, and it's scary to think about all the things that can go wrong. I feel you. We've got this. It's going to be hard, we're going to make mistakes, but also we're going to get to meet this amazing, beautiful human being we helped create, and that's incredible.
You think you're scared now? Wait until you get home from the hospital. Luckily, you'll be way too tired to be scared before long, then you'll just kind of drool through the day just like your baby. Relax, Dad, you'll be fine. A lot of us had poor upbringing, and are pretty awesome dads, because we don't make the same mistakes our parents did.
Hang in there with a change.
My man. The pre-dad jitters. I know shit feels like it's spiraling out of control, but trust me when I say this, you can do this. We all don't want to fuck up. We want to be a perfect parent, however, there is no such thing. Feeling like dying is a normal response when you feel like your back is to the wall and you can't get out of the situation. But once you have your kid in your arms, none of that shit will matter, you know? Be there for your wife and prepare for your hand to be fractured when she squeezes it with the force of 20 gorillas in a vice. You were given a blessing by the man upstairs. And as the saying goes, God doesn't give you a challenge you can't handle. This is your chance to be able to be the father you want to be. Fatherhood is a crash course. You'll know what is right from wrong with time. 5 fucked up Pampers, 2 cold baby bottles, 7 shits later. You'll get the hang of being a dad. Promise one thing to me though. Don't give up on your family. I don't care if shit is flipped upside down like a burger with no buns. Do your absolute best to provide for your family. Even if you can't afford the luxuries, that does not mean you failed. After all, we are in a pandemic and money is tight. If you got to take up another job to make ends meet, so be it. Don't forget to cherish the little moments though. I know with how stressed you are, you might not be taking the time to slow down and reflect on the good aspects of your life. Consider how lucky you guys are to be able to have a baby and have money in your account. Be proud that you want to be the best dad you can be. Some boys bust a nut and leave. A man raises a family and faces all the issues. I know you can do this shit. I wish you the best of luck.
What a word. The support is real.
I'm finally learning to be unapologetically me. Damn. Man. I'm weird. I'm strange. I don't even know if I could be my own friend. I've got ADHD, scrambled brain, that can't rest. I'm super lazy and out of shape. I procrastinate everything. You know what though? I didn't choose me. I can work on myself all I want, lose the weight, sleep better, and that would be great for me. I'd love to achieve that. Still, I'm me. I don't care anymore about being weird and strange. I don't care if my messy tangled brain is too much for you. I care. I try. I'm going to let the pieces lie where they lie. I'm going to be myself because I realize now I can't change myself unless I am myself, and I've been living lies.
Top comment.
Never too early to accept who you are. Changes should be made, complementing who you are, not in spite of who you are.
Way to go, OP. You'll see that being the best person you can be becomes less of a burden and more of an adventure.
I saved a little bird this morning before heading to work, and it has made my day. I have a pool and a dog, and as I was heading out to work I saw my dog run after a bunch of little birds on the garden, and when they flew away, the one bird flew a little too low over my pool and ended up falling in. The little guy was okay and was able to float, but the poor thing obviously wasn't going to be able to get out by itself. So, after fishing it out and placing the little thing on the grass, I quickly locked my dog up behind a fence so he wouldn't run and eat the poor thing. Then after about 5 minutes of trying to catch it, I finally managed to take it to our neighbor's fence to hop in the bushes for it to dry off, as my neighbors don't have any pets. Reason I'm posting on our confessions is because unlike the whole Instagram, TikTok craze, where people post their good deeds online for the world to see and have their ego boosted by what a great person they're being, I prefer to stay anonymous in these sort of things, and generally don't post this stuff, but doing this put a real smile on my face for some reason.
Top comment.
I feel you. It's doing little things like this that make me feel fulfilled on an otherwise gloomy feeling day. Good on you for that. Have an even more beautiful day.
Food delivery is an important lifeline for disabled people. I used to think getting food delivered was for lazy college students who have money to spend and can't be bothered to cook. That was before I developed inflammatory arthritis, which is a bit different from osteoarthritis in that it hits you when you're still young and can be much more painful. 99% of the time, I just live my life as normal, working through the pain, but every so often I end up exhausting myself to the point where it's hard to walk, much less cook. Normally, I love cooking for myself, and if I do order food, I almost always drive and pick it up myself because I don't want to pay extra fees. But today is a day to relax and let the food come to me. Shout out to all the disabled people who have it worse than me when it comes to self-sufficiency, as well as our delivery drivers. Always tip at least 18%.
I was in between jobs right when the pandemic hit and had to deliver DoorDash for a bit. I definitely had repeat customers that were elderly, disabled, not to mention busy families. And it's okay to be a lazy person sometimes. Back when I lived in a more urban area, seeing the pizza delivery man was the best part of my Sunday hangovers.
Even for non-disabled people, sometimes you just don't have the time to cook a meal. I spent the entire day yesterday at work. Only meal I had was a pizza late into the shift because we had a shit ton of work to do all of the sudden with a short deadline of just a day. So yeah, if I had to go home, cook myself a meal, and go back, that would have probably taken me at least 3 to 4 hours, when I can just order some food and be done with it in 20 minutes.
Commenter responded.
Absolutely. There's been times when I'm hard at work and need to eat but want to keep the time I'm not involved in my work to an absolute minimum, especially if I'm on a deadline. Then I might have a pizza delivered and use whatever idle time I have to eat.
Pizza delivery guy here. I've delivered my fair share of pizza to the elderly, disabled. It makes it so much easier on these people, and usually they're pretty nice, so that's good too.
Commenter responded.
We're grateful, believe me.
Another commenter says.
Seconded.
Not really a confession, but don't think of me as crazy, but I think I remember dying. Don't think of me as crazy, but if you're talking about my previous life, then all I could remember was that I was going fast in a car and crashed into a wall or some rocks. Then I woke up 3 years old, and whenever I'm relaxing or something that pops into my head. The memory is kinda fuzzy, but I remember it, and I might have been born in the 70s and grew up in the 80s because I love the 80s for some reason. I had this memory when I was around 5 and was driving with my mother, and on Point Magoo is a big rock, and I thought to myself, hey, I wonder if anyone has ever crashed into that rock, and then I got this memory and my head started hurting out of nowhere. And it wasn't hot or anything, and I was hydrated, and then in the memory I remembered kinda flying out the car and hitting my head, and then I got scared and didn't ever talk about it with anyone, but out of nowhere my head starts hurting.
Let's hear your thoughts. Do you believe you lived a life before this one? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for listening and watching with us. We've certainly enjoyed your stay. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. We'd be delighted to keep you entertained. If you like this content, let us know by clicking that thumbs up button below. Well, until we meet again, leave us a comment and let us know how you feel.